Hello and welcome to this week's training. This is an important one because I'm talking about the red flags that you want to look out for so that you can avoid a toxic workplace. Now, as someone who worked in back-to-back toxic workplaces, whose confidence was destroyed because of it, but who was able to stop that cycle and rebuild my confidence so that I could accomplish all the career goals that I want to accomplish. I know how important this is. So listen up. I want you to stay tuned, and I'll see you on the Hello, my name is Sarah Curto. I am the career coach who helps people find their dream jobs and get their next promotions because I want people to be working less, making more money, and finally feeling fulfilled and happy doing work they love. Which means we can't do any of this in toxic workplaces. Now, I've done a video on toxic workplaces before. You can go watch that here. And I really want you to find your dream job. I really want you to not experience any more toxic workplaces if you've had, or any toxic workplaces if you haven't. So I would like you to subscribe to this channel because all the tips and tricks I give, make sure that you avoid one so that you are finding the culture, the environment, the place that is meant for you. So you can hit that button somewhere around here. You can hit that button. So the toxic workplace. Now, training is vital for anyone who's new grad, someone who's working, anyone who's looking for a position right now, anyone who's been in toxic workplaces, anyone who just wants to avoid them. This is key. Now, I have a lot of notes here, so you will see me going back because this is so important to me. So I wanted to make sure that I don't miss anything. Okay, because I know how much of a nightmare, and I know the burnout that can happen, the stress, the anxiety, the negative impact on our mental and physical health, the impact on our confidence. It's just horrible. It's just horrible what toxic workplaces can do to us. So there are some things I want you to watch out. Red flag number 1 is a poor company culture. Obviously, culture plays a vital role in how you feel about your work, how satisfied you feel, but it also is vital in avoiding toxic workplaces. So if we have a toxic senior leadership team, we're going to have a toxic culture. That's just the way it's going to be. So signs of this sort of toxic culture is high turnover rates, lack of transparency, general feeling of unhappiness among current employees, and a great way to figure all this stuff out is Glassdoor is definitely one because they have reviews. Networking with current or former employees is also a really good one, but you can honestly just tell by going on LinkedIn. So I would go on LinkedIn and see how long a lot of people have been working there. If a lot of people have been working less than a year and it's not a high growth organization, that could be a red flag. It could also be a red flag if you start to look at some of the older people and you see a lot of people were only there for 6 months to a year. That's also a red flag. And then during an interview, you can figure out how does the organization support success of their team? How has and if you notice something, you can even ask a question like, burnout seems to be a challenge in many organizations. Is that a challenge in your organization, and how are you handling it? Tell me about the onboarding process. So asking some questions to get some information is okay. Red flag number 2 is work-life balance. So a lack thereof. Now, we obviously want work-life balance. Now, work-life balance means different things to different people. You need to know what that means for you. I know for me, because I have a family and I have lots of other interests. I'm writing that romance novel, and I'm a runner, and I like to cook and spend lots of time with my family. So I need a lot of work-life balance. Luckily, I have a very understanding leader. But not everyone does. So you want a company that values it and doesn't just give lip service to it, because sometimes that happens. So if you see on a posting a need to work a lot of hours, like in the evenings or weekends, and it shouldn't require that. That might be something you want to talk about. Like, what kind of expectations would there, what kind of work would be required to do that? If there's a culture that discourages time off, and you can see this by not having a lot of vacation time, or you can ask if they have an unlimited vacation time, do they have a minimum amount that people should take? And if it's only 2 or 3 weeks, then I don't know about that. It could be a sign of a toxic environment. Okay, red flag number 3, communication issues. Communication is it's obviously the key to any successful company, but it's also a major sign that it's a toxic workplace when there's a lack of clear communication channels. And you can see this even in the recruitment process. So if there's constant miscommunication or dismissive attitude towards feedback and towards employee feedback, and again, Glassdoor would help with that, it could definitely indicate a toxic work environment. You can also ask about how teams work together and collaborate. And if it feels like everyone owns their own work and there's never any collaboration, that could be a toxic workplace because there'll be lack of communication. And even when I'm sort of backing up here a little bit, but I wanted to talk about that recruitment process thing. If you're seeing recruiters emailing you or hiring managers emailing you late at night, that could be a sign of a lack of work-life balance. So you may want to ask about that. Do you, I noticed that you emailed me so late at night. Is there, can you tell me more about that? And if you don't get the job because they have poor work-life balance, then who cares? You don't want that job anyway. Because it can also show poor company culture. So keeping an eye out on what's happening in the recruitment process can be a very big indication. So noticing that lack of communication. Another thing is when you see the job posting and then you interview with the recruiter or HR, and it seems very different than the posting. And then you talk to the hiring manager and it seems very different again. That's a lack of communication. Red flag number 4 is stagnant or limited growth opportunities. And this is where there's no clear career paths or professional growth. And maybe they seem resistant to investing in their employee development. And so that could be a sign it's a toxic environment. And so kind of how you would know this is, again, a LinkedIn search will do it, because you will see not just a couple of people in the same position for long periods of time. You would see a lot of people, because some people are just very happy in their positions. They don't want to grow. So we need to make sure we're not just seeing that. It's seeing people in the same position for a long period of time, or people who used to work there and who were in the same role for a while and then left and all of a sudden got a bunch of promotions. Probably it's because they were stagnated at their position. You can also ask about how people progress and what that looks like within the organization. You can also ask about professional development expenses, will they support that? Do they have a lot of internal training and development? Do they also have a stipend that you can use to get external? So those are some things to look at. Red flag number 5 is a negative online presence. So this is check the news, check their social media platforms, check Glassdoor again, and any other review websites, and pay attention to those negative reviews and pay attention to consistent complaints from employees and even from customers. So obviously, if you're in telecommunications and you're in customer service, telco, you can see, and airlines, you can see. You go on their social media and there's a lot of unhappy customers. Does that mean they're toxic workplaces? Some are and some aren't. But it's, I guess, the way that they respond. I guess it's consistency. It goes back to the employee values. So It's the overwhelmingness of it all. And again, if this if it gets your spidey senses tingling, then you definitely want to reach out and talk to someone or ask straight out about it in an interview. Because again, if they don't give it to you, the job to you. Okay, red flag number 6, and the last one is unreasonable expectations. So this is where they are setting expectations that require excessive pressure on employees to achieve impossible goals, which leads to burnout or anxiety, unhealthy work environments. It's could be a good question to ask about do they have a lot of people on stress leave, if that's an issue, because if there's a lot of people on stress leave, that's AKA burnout, which means maybe not such a healthy work environment. You can also tell in the recruitment process if they have unrealistic expectations in terms of it's a crazy recruitment process where you need to do assignments and assessments and tests and 8 interviews and all of this. It probably isn't the healthiest of workplace, because they don't trust themselves to make decisions, and they're afraid to make the wrong decision because of the consequences that could happen. So it's not a place that supports failure. They could be so many different things. If they expect you to jump through hoops to get the job, they may expect you to jump through hoops to keep the job. So that's a major red flag to me. Okay, now these are 6 red flags that I want you to watch out for. And they could all be there in case run, or they might just be a couple. I want you to trust your instincts. And I want you to do so much research during the interview process. You don't have to do it before, you can do it during, so that you can determine whether or not this company deserves you. Because if they don't deserve you, then you just got to find somebody else who does. An environment that's supportive and healthy, that values you as an employee and your well-being. Okay? Until next time, I'll see you. To make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss it. But I'll see you next week with another one of these trainings. Avoid that. If this training resonated with you, then join the Career You Love Academy. It's my group coaching monthly membership program that takes unhappy workers who are unfulfilled, exhausted, and dreading their days to finding work they love, where they're finally making more money, more of an impact, while having the time and energy to truly enjoy and love their life. You can join us by going to www.sarahcurto.ca/CYLA. Now that's a Sarah without an H, so it's www.sarahcurto.ca/CYLA. See you in there.